Welcome to Childcare Conversations, the podcast where early childhood leaders like you get real-world strategies, honest talk, and a whole lot of support. Whether you're running one center or many, we're here to help you lead with confidence and clarity. This episode is brought to you by our summer partner, Childcare Business Growth, your go-to solution for filling spots, increasing revenue, and scaling your childcare business without the burnout. We're proud to partner with a team that's as committed to your success as we are. Learn more at childcarebusinessgrowth.com. Now, let's get into today's conversation, one we think you're really going to love.
Everybody I know is always looking for additional ways to bring in revenue. And regardless of where you think you want to be financially, you're going to have a really hard time saving enough money to get there. You're going to have to need another job, another revenue stream. And if you're listening today, this could be you, but it could also be the staff that work in your program. And so I'm so excited because Hope is joining us, Hope King, out of the Dallas area. And we're going to have a conversation about childcare. And it's not actually childcare, taking care of children in event settings, because I want to make sure that we don't.
It's still childcare. It's just childcare outside of licensed and regulated care.
Well, I wanted to make sure I didn't say babysitting, and I wanted to make sure I also didn't allude to the childcare community with folks who are like, but you've got to be licensed and regulated. And I think that's the angle that Hope brings to this opportunity. And Hope, let's just start real quick with a brief introduction of you and how long you've been doing this and what exactly it is that you do, because I'm excited.
Great. Well, thank you so much for having me. So my name is Hope Oribori King, and I am the owner and founder of Black Tie Babysitting Incorporated. And we are a special occasion childcare service. And I'm based out of Dallas, Texas, but we also have offices in the DMV area. And so it's exactly what it sounds like. We do childcare at special occasions and events. 85% of our business is wedding childcare, and then the rest is corporate event childcare.
So when you say corporate event, are you talking like corporate Christmas parties?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Perfect.
I think also they should also, if they're going to be sometimes paying for childcare on site, I think those corporate picnics should also have somebody there, because the parents get a little too friendly with the cooler.
Right.
And there should be somebody who's being paid to keep everybody safe. And
we have done that. We have done that too. So
Hope, tell us a little bit about why you wanted to talk to the directors who listen to us, what your opportunity, what you think might be helpful to them.
Do we want to start there, or how did you have this idea? I think that's kind of an interesting. Let's go there first, and then why.
And then tell us how long you've been doing this. Okay, sorry.
Okay. Great. So I have owned Black Tie for 16 years. And really, it just started out of necessity for me. My sister was getting married, and at that time, during the time of her engagement to her actual wedding, I had gotten a divorce, and I was pregnant with my fourth child. And so by the time she got married, literally my son was 6 months old, and I had 4 children under the age of 8. And she was getting married in kind of an industrial aesthetic, and her ceremony was rooftop. So it was not child friendly at all. And she had said, I do not want any children at my wedding. And so I'm Nigerian American, and most Nigerians have a lot of kids. And so I was just like, this is not going to work. People are not going to listen. And, I had this heart to heart with her, like, do you know what it's like to get an invitation to be invited to a wedding and then it says no kids allowed and you have kids? Like, by the time you start factoring in paying a babysitter, buying something for the couple, and then you look like something is typically out of reach at that point. So you're just not going to go.
For a Nigerian wedding, because you got to have some glam going on there. You can't be showing up in something you got at Ross. That's not
Right.
gonna work at a Nigerian wedding.
Right. So I was just like, so, and she was like, we'll figure it out then. And we were just one day we were doing a tour of her venue and I saw this empty space and I was like, what's happening in this room? And she was like, nothing. You just get it because you all have rented the entire building. And I was like, light bulb. I was like, hey, at that time I had a part-time nanny that helped me with my kids. And I was like, hey, do you have a couple of friends that are like you that can come here on the day of my sister's wedding and watch my kids and watch other people's kids who inevitably I know are they're going to bring, even though they've been told not to. And she was like, sure. So I packed up my toys. I packed up a slow cooker of hot dogs and brought some buns, which we don't do food anymore, you know. And so we did that. And that night, parents were like, oh my gosh, this was great. Whose business is this? And I was like, oh, it's mine. I didn't have a name. I didn't have a business plan. I didn't have anything. I just saw that, hey, this is an idea that I really think can work. And at that time, I was doing new business development at a web design firm. And I went back there to my development guys. I was like, hey, y'all, I need a website like tomorrow. And they were like, okay. And they built me a website. And I just used what I knew about new business development and speaking to people. And I just kept on knocking on doors. And I was blessed that I had a planner that was like, okay, we'll give you a try. And it just went from there.
I mean, that's how a lot of people start opening their childcare center is they had a need because there wasn't anything that would meet their childcare needs in their community. So I think there's a lot of commonality there. But since we're in this inflection point in the childcare industry where our funding sources are having some challenges in some states more than others, giving people other opportunities for how to bring revenue into their ecosystem, I think is really important. So let's just do a really quick, what are some opportunities? How could a childcare center partner with or become somebody who provides event-based childcare?
Well, I think the thing is that's the great thing. The beauty of it is there are so many opportunities and this is really dynamic and that's why I wanted to have the conversation and bring it into this space because number one is that you have the know-how and you have the staff if you are a current director because the reality is that the event childcare space is unregulated. Right. So we're making this up as we go. And the smart ones of us really take our cues from childcare, right? Early childhood, especially. We're taking those cues because most of our guests are going to be from 9 years old and down.
Right.
Right. And so I think there's the opportunity that if you full-fledged would want to start an arm of your business that does event childcare, you could do that and you can source your sitters from your current staff. You've already background checked them. You're their reference. You know how they work. It could be a invitation. It could be a one of those things where it's like you do a great job. So you have the opportunity to be part of this select team. Even in my business, I had diversified my teams. So my creme of the la creme, those are the people who get to do our VIP care, very important care. And that's where we start doing stuff for athletes, for sports teams. That's a team within itself, right? Or if you wanted to partner with maybe a venue, because venues have a lot of clauses in them that say if you have X amount of kids under a certain age that you have to have professional childcare. Several venues are writing that clause in. So if you want to partner with a venue and say, hey, if you have this clause, now we can source that for you. We can source those folks for you.
That is awesome. That is awesome. And I want to go deeper into it. But before we go any deeper, I don't want to cut us off mid-thought process. We've got to take a quick break to thank our sponsor for this episode, the Childcare Business Growth. That's a team that is helping childcare owners and directors grow smarter, stronger businesses every day, like we're talking about right here. Whether you're trying to fill up enrollment or bring in more revenue, hey, are we talking about that? I think we are. Or just stop doing everything yourself. They've got the tools, the training, and the coaching to help. You don't have to do it all. You can outsource some of it to childcare business growth. They work with programs that are at every stage, from the brand new centers and home-based programs to multi-site operations. And their results speak for themselves. One of the people we recommended to childcare business growth, her first video she did with them, 17,000 impressions, and it has brought in a whole bunch of tours into her program. So learn more at childcarebusinessgrowth.com and tell them Childcare Conversations sent you.
Thank you,
Okay.
Carrie. Okay, now I'm going to jump in. So,
Okay.
yeah, well, I'm just telling you. So, Hope, I have to tell you that sitting here as somebody who's been married not once, but twice, that I got really, really excited listening to this because when I got married the second time, I had 3 children under 5. And well, between me and my new spouse. And one of the things that we ended up doing was we curtailed the whole dang wedding around children. So it's kind of a novel concept that I don't have to get married at an amusement park and have crayons on every table as part of my table decor if I should ever decide to get married again. Because I'm sure I knew at the time, so over 22 years ago, it was absolutely an anomaly. Actually, it was 25 years ago. So 25 years ago, it was an absolute anomaly to have a child-friendly wedding, and a ridiculously child-friendly wedding, and to the fact that over 50% of our guests were under the age of 5. So,
Yeah.
so I love the fact that you not only recognize this, you came up with a solution and you've been able to replicate it for over 16 years. And so to me, hopefully folks will go to the show notes, because in the show notes, we'll have how you can contact Hope. You'll find more information about Hope's solutions to help you. So Hope is not here to make $1 million on a franchise. Hope
Nope.
genuinely wants to be there to support you doing this kind of endeavor as a second business, third business, fourth business, but you're getting to use the other businesses you have. I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. I love it.
Leveraging what you've already built. But I think the other thing is, there's some people who are like, no, I'm just the director, or I have already 4 schools and a trucking business and a salon. I do not need another type of business, but how can I still partner with Hope or someone like Hope? So
Right.
we talked about a little bit of that before we got to the recording button. So what are some other ways that people could maybe partner if they're not ready to take on this whole other business operation?
Yeah, I'll tell you, like, just the power of already having people is huge, because I have a payroll of about 75 here in Texas, and then my payroll is a little bit smaller in DMV because it's at 20. Because when we went into DMV, it was a year before COVID, and then COVID happened, so we paused the marketplace.
Let's define the DMV, because I'm sure some people are like, why does the Department of Motor Vehicles need?
So that is DC, Maryland, and Virginia.
Yeah.
And so we paused that marketplace, and I got to a point, we had done such a great job of marketing and doing well with our events. We used my marketing tactics that we used in Dallas. We made the right relationships with the right people and moved really fast. And so after, we could start having live events again, we started getting peppered with requests, but I wasn't ready to go back into that area and manage the two. I was trying to make sure that we were going to make it through after live events have been closed out. So I was giving the leads to other people. And then one day I was like, I think we'll keep those. I think we can do those now. Well, let's get back into the game. But I mean, anytime you get a request, and if it's outside of the staff you have 2 choices. You can either try and staff up really quick, which I don't like to do, because you really need to have time to train your staff. Because if the kids don't know each other, you're not familiar with the venue and the staff doesn't know each other, that's a whole lot of unknowns that make having really great care and really great customer service difficult.
I think
So
there's a lot of directors listening to this who would be like, I've been there. I opened a new classroom. I didn't give myself enough time. We got a whole new staff in there. Not doing that again.
right, right. So, but if I, as a childcare event company, knew that, hey, I can call this my friend over here, this director, and for a fee, she's gonna let her people work for me. I'm taking that all day because I know they have training.
Okay, so
They,
what city you in? Because I
yeah.
want everybody in the Dallas Fort Worth area to be listening to this and
I
taking
am in
notes.
Dallas Fort Worth. We run the whole Metroplex. So if you're hearing me, listen to me because I do. I get requests. I got a request the summer before last, and they needed childcare for 1,200 kids. And I just could not do that with the staff that I had. And I mean, we were talking real big numbers, but I just felt very uncomfortable. And if I would have had relationships with childcare owners and I could be like, look, I need 30 or 20, 15, what can you give me? Plus what I have, and we'll have training sessions special for this event so we can get ready. I would have done it.
So it's a way for a center to augment by basically getting a finder's fee for going, here, I have found 17 trained childcare employees, and where they found them was in their classrooms. And so
Right.
they're getting a
Right.
referral fee.
Because there's some people who, I'm not one of those companies, but some of them use care.com to staff up. And I mean, no offense to care.com, but again, it's very hard to me to control an event if your staff has never worked together before.
Well, that's also expensive. I mean,
Right.
I mean, I am going to look at it from that point of view. And I think that one of the things that we have directors who struggle with is that we have staff who want to make some extra money, right? And so then we've got staff who, to do that, I'm going to go with PG rated options. I'm sure that there are some other options, but they'll try to babysit for the staff, for the parents. And
the families in the center.
Yeah, we really encourage the directors to kind of not really allow that. We don't really, unless they've got a whole separate business that's like a nanny business or a babysitting service, that it is a separate business with separate liability, separate policies and procedures. And so this is another one of those, in my opinion, awesome ways to make that happen, because whether they do it themselves or they're collaborating with another vendor, they can say, yes, you can babysit, but you have to use, a service, or you have to be hired through a service. You can't babysit because of your role with us as a child care center. You can't
And
babysit.
because we don't want our staff to have that liability.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
you don't want your staff to have to deal with a lawsuit either. But I think a third way that this could work is offering your space as a drop-off venue for say there's a big church that is the wedding church in your neighborhood or in your town, and everybody gets married there, and your center is 2.5 blocks away, having that be a drop-off childcare location for those weddings.
What about every faith-based childcare center? I mean, let's be real.
Right.
Like, I mean, we talk a lot about, childcare owners collaborating with their local church to expand to another location, especially if they've already got some sort of a preschool room set up. I mean, this could be the ultimate easy lift. It could also be an easy lift for a church. I mean, if a church isn't ready to have a full-blown childcare center and they're listening, or maybe you're listening and you've got an external and you know that the church is trying to get you to serve on a committee so that the church can start their own. I've been here. Okay. So that they can start their own preschool program at the church. And you're like, why am I going to support that? You're now my competition. But here's what you could support, right? You could absolutely support that church being its own child, having its own child.
I mean, childcare.
Thank you.
Childcare. Kate's having a
The
hard
thing
time
that
with
Hope
the phrase.
does.
Yeah,
Okay,
well,
so
and
we
the
need
thing
an
I think,
option of starting a business. And if you're going to start the business, reach out to Hope, get some coaching. It'll save you money and it'll make it more likely that you're going to succeed.
Right.
We have getting the finder's fee by providing people who could work for Hope or somebody like Hope.
Hope, we're going to be sending you all kinds of people. Hope's going to be getting calls from people
We'll
going,
take them.
so I live just south of Fort Worth. How far south?
Fort Worth is
3
tough for
hours?
us. So
No.
yes, we need people in Fort Worth.
Yep.
Yes.
And then that third option of being a space for that childcare to happen, because not all places where people get married or have corporate events have a room that is at all child suitable.
I think that is a big one that, because a lot of times, I do a lot of tours to see if a place is acceptable for us to provide childcare, because people typically are like, oh, well, there's a pass through. No, we don't put children in pass throughs. We don't put children in closets. They're just trying to make it work. And that work doesn't work. One of our tagline for our company is we're rolling out the red carpet for your littlest guest, because a lot of times people who are planning these events do not see children as guests, right? So they don't care how they're accommodated, and we do. And so we're looking out for that. And there have been some times where I've literally had to tell people, we can't provide childcare there, especially facilities that are 100% outdoor. Now in Texas, we have a lot of those because people want that country feel. That I read something the other day that said Texas style weddings are going away. Like, I was like, well, y'all aren't in Texas. We're very much so still into that country chic type thing. But so we have a lot of people getting married at farms and other outside type places that have no inside.
You're
And
talking about my daughter. She was looking for one of those. And then we explained that a lot of the people were old and they needed to have an air conditioned room.
Right.
So the reception is in air conditioning, the wedding is outside.
Right.
It's still Labor Day weekend. That's all I know.
Right. But yeah, I mean, that's one requirement that we've had to put into our stuff, that we have to have 4 walls and a door for us to provide services.
No air conditioning? You need to add the air conditioning
right.
So, in a bathroom.
Right. But so if there was a place that you could literally say, hey, we can provide childcare here at this facility, people would drop it off. Because as our company grew, because at first I didn't do hotel care and we didn't do Airbnb care, and now we do offer those services. That was one of the biggest things. Well, can we bring kids to you? No, we don't have a brick and mortar. That's the whole point. We come to you. But sometimes that's just not convenient for folks, and the venue is not convenient. It doesn't lend itself to that. So I think that's an excellent idea.
Bet, Hope, we could probably even spin a fourth one, which is where your staff or you literally rent that childcare space. So in other words, the owner doesn't even have to manage it with their own staff. It could just be they rent a room. So I just made a fourth one for you, Carrie.
it has bathrooms, right? Y'all have bedding. I mean, typically when we go on site, we have everything. We basically, when I'm talking to people, we bring the daycare with us. So I have traveling toddler beds. I have full size cribs. I mean, we have all the gear. I have $7,000 worth of storage a month. I mean, a year, because of baby gear alone, because we have to bring it on site. So that would be tremendous, especially for a startup that may not have that inventory, to be able to say, hey, I can do this right here. Stuff's already included.
Carrie, another thing, and we talk about this sometimes, where sometimes owners know that they've got staff who've been with them for 15 years and they've been wanting to do something, but they don't really know what they want. This is a great little nudge. So if you're one of those owners that you're all about supporting your leaders in your program who they just need to go run their business because they've been wanting to do this for a long time, I think this is a great kind of little nudge business. If you've got that awesome staff person who should have been running their own program a decade ago, and if you're somebody
they love you and they don't want to leave you and they don't want to leave their community, this is a way that they can halfway leave you and halfway have their own business.
And so, you can be their mentor. You could literally help them learn to run a business, and I think that could be an awesome collaborative for
Right.
it could be a sibling, it could be like you got a relative who's in the field ish or wants to be, but you're like, I don't really want to work with my sister. Um, this could be a way I help you launch your business, right? So I love it. I love it. Hope, thank you so much for sharing this dialogue and this concept. Carrie, do we have anything else we want to check in with Hope before we
I mean, I just want people to know that Kate's already been referring people to Hope, and that Hope came to 9 of my 11 sessions with SCORE. She knows
Absolutely.
her stuff, and I hope that if this at all sparked thoughts for you, you
you
at least,
hoped. You hoped. I heard you.
yes. Now I hope that you have hope, and reach out to her. If you think you would be a good guest on this podcast, like Hope has been an amazing one, reach out to us at Kate and Carrie at Childcare Conversations, and we'll get you on the show as soon as we possibly can. But I hope that you enjoyed this, and I'll talk to you next week.
Thanks for tuning in. We love bringing you real talk and fresh insight from the world of early childhood education. Be sure to follow us on social media to stay connected and catch all of the latest episodes. And if you're planning a conference, training, or special event, Kate and Carrie would love to speak to your audience. You can learn more about their keynote sessions and workshops at kateandcarrie.com. If you learned something today, share the show and leave us a review below. We'll see you next time on Childcare Conversations.